Hello, my friends. Mr. Mike here, and today we're reading a Grover bedtime story. It looks like Grover's having a sleepover. Hmm. Thank you so very much for inviting me over to sleep at your house, Grover, said Prairie Dawn. I've had such a good time. Oh, it is so fun to have someone come over and visit and sleep over, said Grover. I am so glad you could come. But now it is late, and I think we had better go to sleep. Uh, Grover, said Prairie Dawn, there's just one little thing. I like to hear a bedtime story before I go to sleep. When I am home, my daddy usually tells me a story. Hmm, that is a problem, said Grover. We could call your daddy on the telephone and he could tell you a story over the phone. How would that be? I have a better idea, said Prairie Dawn. Why don't you tell me a bedtime story? Me, said Grover. Me? Cute, furry, adorable old Grover tell a bedtime story? Why not, said Prairie Dawn. I am sure you know lots of nice stories. Er, well, said Grover, I have not told many bedtime stories before. In fact, none is how many bedtime stories I have told. None at all. I really do not know how to tell a bedtime story. Oh, I'm sure you can do it, said Prairie Dawn. Either start at the beginning, and the rest will take care of itself. She got into bed and pulled the covers up around her chin. Okay, Grover, I am ready. You can start your bedtime story now. I like Prairie Dawn's teddy bear, don't you? Uh-oh, we missed a page. These old classic books are a little hard to turn the pages. Oh dear, said Grover. How to do this? Just start at the beginning and let's see what happens. Huh. Ahem? All right. Once upon a time, he began. Yes, that is an excellent beginning to my story. Once upon a time, Grover, said Prairie Dawn. What comes next? I beg your pardon, asked Grover. Well, said Prairie Dawn, all you have said is once upon a time. There has to be more to the story than that. This is just a beginning to the story. What happens next? Oh, said Grover, you want to know what happens next? Of course you do. um, well, let me see. Once upon a time, Grover began again. Well, they lived happily ever after? There you are. Grover, said Prairie Dawn, what kind of story is that? That is not the way to tell a story. Once upon a time they lived happily ever after. That is ridiculous. You do not like the way it ended? Asked Grover. I always thought they lived happily ever after was a nice ending to a story. The beginning was okay, and the ending was okay, but there was no middle. No middle, said Grover. What is a middle? The middle is the story part in the story where everything happens, explained Prairie Dawn. You left out the whole middle part. Look at Prairie Dawn's face. Like even her teddy bear is a little confused what's going on. I am sorry, Prairie Dawn, said Grover. I told you I do not have much experience in telling bedtime stories. Well, let me show you how it works, said Prairie Dawn. Then you will know how, and you can tell me my bedtime story. That is an excellent idea, said Grover. Okay, said Prairie Dawn. First, you start your story with once upon a time, just as you did, but then you follow it with the middle part of the story. So here goes. Once upon a time, there was a king named Roundtree, and he had a very smart and beautiful daughter named Victoria Joyce. One day, a wicked magician came and put a spell on the three good fairies who were weaving an enchanted cloak in which to wrap the mysterious silver apple so it could be delivered to the wondrous wizard of the West. So their fingers turned into string beans, and they could no longer weave the enchanted cloak. But the brave little girl mesmerized the six fire breathing dragons that guarded the castle gate and flew on the magic flying horse, Basingstoke, through the skies, dodging the evil eagles and horrid hawks that swooped and darted at her on the wizard's palace, where she delivered the silver apple to the wizard all by herself. The wizard was so amazed at Victoria's splendid feats of bravery and courage that he presented her with a beautiful singing bird and a flower that would always be in bloom. The evil witches on the mountains gnashed there. Wow, Prairie Dawn, that's quite the story. Fat Grover is about to fall asleep from listening to your bedtime story. Oh, let's look at all these animations. Wow. There she is taming the dragon. There she's flying on her magic horse. There she is giving the silver apple to the wizard, who just happens to be the count. And there's the three angry witches. They gnashed their teeth and pulled their hair out because they wanted the singing bird and the amazing ever blooming flower, but they knew they could not fight such a glorious girl as Victoria Joyce. And Victoria sailed home to her father's castle on the back of a great golden swan. And here is where you put the ending part on, Grover. And she lived happily ever after. There, you see how easy it is to tell a bedtime story. But you absolutely must have the middle part, or else it is not a story at all. Do you understand, Grover? Grover, Grover, Grover. But Grover had fallen asleep. And that's a pretty good story, Prairie Dawn. Oh dear, said Prairie Dawn. Now that I've done it, I've told such a good story that I put Grover to sleep. Now what am I going to do? I'll be up all night. Just then the door opened and Grover's mommy came into the room. Would you like to hear a bedtime story, Prairie Dawn? Asked Grover's mommy. I used to tell bedtime stories to Grover, but he would always fall right asleep after the once upon a time part. He never heard the middle of the or the end. It would be a great treat for me to be able to tell a bedtime story to someone who could stay awake long enough to hear the happily ever after part. Oh, thank you, said Prairie Dawn, and she curled up under the covers as Grover's mommy sat down beside the bed. Once upon a time, began Grover's mommy. Yeah, Grover's out of it. He is asleep. And you got Prairie Dawn. She's cuddled up with the teddy bear. She's about to go to sleep. And I guess we'll never know what Grover's mommy's story was. It was pretty good, though. Yeah. Look at the teddy bear there, too. Yeah, she's cuddling with it. Gotta admit, I love these pictures. Yeah. Hey, thank you for watching. And it was a really good sleepover for Grover and Prairie Dawn. And thanks for watching. And please like, subscribe, and come back for more classic Sesame Street stories. Have a great day and bye bye.